Did you know that Ukrainians liked living in the USSR? You probably also didn't know that Stalin saved the Crimean Tatars by deporting them from their homes. And Ukraine is most likely going to break apart. But this is Stop Fake, the place where we dissect fakes about Ukraine and a little more. So let's get to it. Russian propaganda and disinformation has found a new fountain of fakes. Informal polls from Telegram accounts are being presented as insightful news that portray a real picture of events on the ground. The Kremlin faithful disinformation site Ukrainian.ru asked its followers of its Telegram account to answer a poll which asked Ukraine as part of the USSR was good or bad. 92% responded with good, and Ukrainian.ru triumphantly concluded, concise vote, revealing answer. Now, polls on social media serve as clickbait. They can increase traffic, raise user engagement, but they are certainly neither a legitimate sociological survey nor a source of serious news. The director of the reputable Kyiv International Institute of Sociology, Volodymyr Panioto, considers online polls a threat to serious sociological research and can also seriously mislead people. Panioto said, quote, "These polls say nothing. They don't even represent the audience of the site that conducted them." An online guidebook for journalists developed by the highly regarded Kyiv polling organization Democratic Initiatives advises reporters to ask the following questions when writing about polls. How many people were interviewed? Who conducted the survey? Who does the interviewed population group represent? When was the survey conducted? What is a valid random sampling error? Real polling organizations have in fact proposed a similar question. In December of 2019, analysts from the peace-building think tank SEED, who studied Ukrainian society as part of the SCORE project, which stands for Social Cohesion and Reconciliation, also studied the level of Soviet nostalgia in Ukraine. On a 10-point scale, the average score for Ukraine was 5.5. While in December of 2017, the rating polling company asked Ukrainians if they regretted the collapse of the Soviet Union. 55% said they did not regret the collapse, 30% did regret it, and 16% found it difficult to answer this question. While Ukrainian polling has evolved and professionalized itself over the last decade, it is still subject to paid manipulation, sometimes skewing results and misleading, and therefore should be treated with caution and taken with a grain of salt. While Ukraine and Crimean Tatar diasporas throughout the world commemorated Crimean Tatar Deportation Remembrance Day on May the 18th, Russian bots and trolls launched another fake about the reasons for the ethnic cleansing of Crimean Tatars and forcibly removing them from their homes in 1944. In posts seething with enmity and hatred, Stalin's criminal actions were simply whitewashed. The haters explained that, quote, by deporting them, Stalin saved the Crimean Tatars from complete extermination. At the same time, he violated Soviet law according to which traitors of the motherland were to be shot. The deportation of Crimean Tatars began on May 18, 1944, when NKVD troops carrying out a decree signed by Stalin sent the first train of indigenous Crimean people off to Central Asia. The official reason for the deportation was alleged collaboration with Nazi Germany and treason, during which the Crimean Tatars allegedly, quote-unquote, persecuted Soviet people brutally. But no evidence of these alleged crimes was provided. At the same time, also by Stalin's decree, Greeks, Bulgarians, Armenians, Germans, and other minorities were evicted from Crimea and their homes were occupied by trustworthy Soviet citizens that Moscow resettled from other areas of the Soviet Union. During the main wave of the deportation from May 18th to the 20th in 1944, more than 180,000 Crimean Tatars were forcibly expelled from Crimea. In all, more than 238,000 people were deported, nearly the entire Crimean Tatar population of the peninsula. Most of the deported Tatars ended up in Uzbekistan and in neighboring regions of Kazakhstan and Tajikistan in so-called special settlements, which were in fact more like labor camps. According to various estimates, 20 to 46% of all the deportees died from starvation, exhaustion, and illnesses during the first 3 years of the relocation. This unjustified aggression against the indigenous people of the Crimean Peninsula has nothing to do with the salvation that Russian trolls write about. Rather, the deportation was a real genocide against Crimean Tatars by Stalin and his government. In their hateful denouncements, the trolls forget to mention that even the Soviet Union recognized the Crimean Tatar deportation as repression and a serious crime of the Stalin's regime, and this recognition was publicized in a 1989 official declaration of the USSR Supreme Soviet. In 2015, Ukraine recognized the Stalin's deportation of Crimean Tatars as a genocide. In 2019, Latvia and Lithuania were the first European countries that recognized Stalin's repressions as genocide. An official statement by the European Union High Representative for Foreign Affairs on the anniversary of the deportation of Crimean Tatars says that presently, having occupied Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula, Putin's Russia continues the legacy of Stalin's repression on the peninsula. The collapse of Ukraine and the disintegration of the country into various regions is the ultimate dream of Russian propaganda and disinformation outlets. They keep pushing this theme, and the mantra that some Ukrainian regions are poised to secede once again reared its head in the Russian Federation Council, and the main Kremlin media pushed this as news. But there is absolutely no evidence to justify secession claims, and according to recent polls, the vast majority of Ukrainians, 75%, consider themselves primarily citizens of Ukraine, and self-identification as Ukrainian prevails in all regions of the country. Ignoring the facts on the ground, Federation Council Committee on Foreign Affairs Deputy Chairman Vladimir Jaborov claims that, quote, "The split in Ukrainian society is very deep. Southeastern regions that don't even want to hear about returning to united Ukraine can be followed by Odessa, Kherson, Mykolaiv, and Zaporizhia regions, which for now are waiting." In December 2019, the reputable polling company Democratic Initiatives, together with the think tank Razumkov Center, conducted a survey on the topic of patriotism, language, and foreign policy priorities. According to the survey, the vast majority of the Ukrainian population, 75%, first and foremost consider themselves citizens of Ukraine. That is, their first form of self-identification is Ukrainian. It's similar to asking if someone identifies as an American or as a New Yorker, for example. According to the poll, national identification prevails in all regions of Ukraine. In southern Ukraine, 84% identify as Ukrainian, while 78% in central Ukraine identify as Ukrainian, and 76% in western Ukraine, and 66% of respondents from eastern Ukraine identify as Ukrainian. Only 7% of respondents in eastern Ukraine consider themselves primarily citizens of the former Soviet Union. National identification has significantly increased from 54% in December of 2013 to 73% in December of 2014. That's it for this week. There's much more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. Remember, look out for fakes and don't listen to Russian disinformation, because washing your hands and social distancing will in fact protect you from the coronavirus. And as always, if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.